It's 5 minutes past 6. I think we've given sufficient time for those that are to join us, and we may have a few more that will join us in a few minutes. So thank you everyone for taking the time to join our very first session, our webinar training session and the tutor development program. And this is for the course BT ODEL 1, which is the basics for e-tutoring in an ODEL environment. My name is Denzel Chetty, and I lead the Academic Development Open Virtual Hub at the University of South Africa, UNISA. And one of the tasks of the ADOV is to prepare and train the tutors for the university. Together with me this afternoon is my colleague, Richard Wright, and also a co-facilitator of the course. And I'm going to ask Richard to quickly introduce himself and say a few words. Richard?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Wright, the Digital Learning Advisor from the Western Cape, and I also work on the ADOV project with Denzel. And I look forward to work with all you guys over a couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Okay, so colleagues, you will note that we've intentionally muted your mics and switched off your cameras. From our own experience, this is to avoid disruptions as part of our training. We will, however, activate the mics and the cameras during our Q&A session, which we will have towards the end. Richard, I'm wondering whether you would not be able to do a quick orientation to how to use MS Teams, the chat, more specifically where to raise your hands, so that colleagues can also communicate with us via the chat.
Okay, I'll quickly do so, Denzel. Let me just share my screen with you. So everyone, just a quick introduction to Teams. If you are using the browser version that is in Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, it will look a little bit different, but the icons will remain the same. On your phone as well, the icons will usually be at the top, and it will be different tabs on which you have to click. So the first one will show you all the participants, and as Denzel mentioned, you can see all the participants currently is muted and the cameras are switched off. The second one that you will get is the conversations. Here you can post any comments. So during the presentation by Denzel, please post your questions. We will have a look at them afterwards as well during the Q&A session. And not raise your hand during the presentation. The next one is the reactions. So you've got a couple of reactions, but the most important one is raising your hand. So raising your hand will indicate to us that you have a question. So during the questions and answer, please raise your hand, and then we will ask you to unmute when it's your turn to ask a question or provide feedback. Please only do so during the Q&A session. Also then, very importantly, just to make sure that after your question, you just click again on the hand to lower your hand, so that we know you're not in the list for upcoming questions. And then also very importantly, you won't be able to switch on your cameras. We have disabled this feature, but during the Q&A session, the mic will become active so that you can ask your question. But please keep your mics muted during the Q&A session if it's not your time to speak, just to prevent any echoes coming from the background. And then the next one is more for us, the presenters, the sharing. And then afterwards, once we're done, you can just click the leave button to switch off the meeting so you don't use any additional data. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Colleagues, I see some of you are saying that there's no sound on your side. So please, if there's no sound, it's probably your network. So simply log off and log back on again, and you will then get sound on your device that you're using. It's one of the challenges that we've noticed. So just log off and then come back on, and you should have full sound on your device itself. Okay, so colleagues. Yes, Richard.
Let me just perhaps quickly show you. If you log off and come back in, you still don't have sound. You can always check your device settings by clicking on the three dots and just make sure that you've got the correct output for your speaker or your headphone. Usually, sometimes if you plug in a headphone, then it doesn't pick up correctly. Then you'll just have to come here to device settings. If you experience a lot of technical difficulties, you will still be captured in attendance, and we will make the recordings available on the MOOC platform. Thanks, Enzo.
Thanks very much for that, Richard. Okay, so colleagues, we've all okay, so if your voices are too low, please pick up the volume on your side. The volume is actually maximum on our side, so it's a bit difficult for us to increase the volume anymore on our side. So colleagues, just a quick orientation. So how you come to be selected. Remember, some of you may have applied to the colleges, your specific colleges. Some of you may have been shortlisted by your colleges. They then go through a selection process, and they then provide us with your name as part of a potential tutor at UNISA to be trained. Now, this is actually our third cohort for the year. So throughout the year, we've been training tutors, and we're now preparing a third cohort for the year. And you will then be, once you complete this course, passing it with the minimum requirements, you will then be your details will be provided to the colleges for activation. They will then give you a contract, an appointment, and then once they give you a contract and appointment, they will then activate you against a course. This is for 2022. So the idea here, colleagues, is that we're using this time between November, December to get you trained up, completed with all the assessments so that you can be appointed by end of December, early January, and start tutoring at UNISA. We will discuss the rest of the requirements for the particular course as we do the orientation. So now that you know the process, we already have about 207 attendees at the moment. In fact, to be honest with you, this third cohort has close to 500 tutors that are being trained. So there's quite a large number that I think would still join us in the course of the week as they come to be more familiar with the platforms. So let me start sharing my screen. So I know that many of you were trying to figure out how does this course work, where does the training take place. So firstly, this is a short learning course, right? A short learning course means that it is a fully recognized course within the institution structures. Secondly, it means that short means that we have opted for what we call a boot camp approach. Now, the 4-week bootcamp approach means that in 4 weeks, we run through the content with you through a very rigid process. So literally a week, a study unit, depending on the type of content and the level of content that we are discussing. And then in the 4 weeks, you are required to complete your assessments as well as your study units. And then you've got 4 compulsory webinars. So that means you have to attend these webinars. We take registers for it. So please make sure that you attend these webinars as part of your learning process. So the first thing that you need to do, colleagues, is, so I'm going to start from scratch right from the beginning. So the first thing that you need to do is we've already emailed you a document which shows you how to create your account. So I can see that there's quite a few that have already created their account. But for those that are still new to the site, remember that all your course content for this particular training intervention is online. We do not provide any additional study material. You will access the content free of charge on the UNISA Open Learning Portal. Now, what this means is that all you need is a little bit of data to connect to the UNISA Open Learning Portal. But once you're on the UNISA Open Learning Portal, all the access to the content and videos, anything that you do on the MOOC site itself. Now remember, on the UNISA Open Learning Portal will be free. It's what we call reverse billing, so the university covers the cost for it. But it does mean that you need to have a little data to connect to the site, but thereafter we don't charge you for it. You will also, so the first step, colleagues, is to log on to the site. And remember, the site is mooc.unisa.ac.za. So that's the address, the URL to the UNISA Open Learning Portal. So that's the first step. Once you're on it, so it's mooc.unisa.ac.za. Richard will post the link directly on the chat for those that may not have done this process already. Once you're on the site, you simply click on new account. It will then take you to a space where you fill in your details for a new account. Now, as per my instructions in the Word document that we've attached, user ID, you create your own user ID. We do not provide you with a user ID, right? So you create your own user ID. It can be anything that you want. It can be your name. It can be your initials plus your surname. It can be numbers or symbols, anything that you want, right? But the main thing is you remember your user ID because you'll use this to log in. Once you finish your user ID, your first name, last name, your email address is very important because your email address will be used for us to send notifications, announcements to your email, but it'll also be used to correct your password or to revise your password or reset your password. So it's very important. Create a new password. Now here as well, colleagues, remember, we do not provide you with a password. You create your own password, right? You verify the password by typing the same password. Then you simply click create account. And once you create account, you will then be logged in. Now let's remember, just recall quickly for you. User ID, you create your own user ID. First name, last name, email address, create new password. You create your own password, verify your password by typing the same thing in, and then click new account, and you will then have access, or you will have then created an account on the UNISA system. Once you've created an account on the UNISA system, you will then go to membership. You'll find membership on the left-hand side and left tab, right? So the left tab of your screen, you'll find membership. You click on membership, and it then opens up a list of courses that are current sites, joinable sites, etc. So you click on joinable sites, right? So you got my current sites are the ones that you've already enrolled for. In your case, you wouldn't have anything listed here because you're joining. So you click on joinable sites, and when you click on joinable sites, you simply scroll down and you look for BTODEL1. BTODEL1 Basics E-Tutoring. You click joinable, click join on that side, and then the site will disappear from the list and you'll find it under my current sites. When you go to your my current sites, you then find BTODEL listed as part of that course. So once you've registered, that means you've now registered for the course as an official student participant for this course. You then simply click on the course BTODEL1 Basics of E-Tutoring. When you click on the course, colleagues, this is typically what your course platform would look like, right? So immediately you can see on your left-hand side are what we call the navigation panel that has your calendar, announcements, honor code, etc. This is the home view, which is where we place a simple introduction about what this course is. You'll then find announcements. Announcements is where we will post up announcements to notify you on upcoming webinars or anything regarding assignments or what we want to communicate with you. You will then find calendar, and then you will find chat. Now, chat is a simple tool that allows you to type in your comments and questions that you want, and we can actually communicate with you, both synchronous, meaning in real time, and asynchronous means that we can also, as soon as we view those comments, you can also communicate with you. So you can communicate with us as facilitators as well as your fellow peers. Now on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a little icon with a figure of people, participants, and at the moment you can see we've got 38 participants on site. So this allows you to see who of your participants are that are already on the site. So we can see from here that we've got at least 38 people that are 30 now, drop site now, but are already on the site. So let's look at your left-hand side tab, right? So the first thing, as I said, is the overview. When you log onto the overview page, we just provide you with a brief introduction on what the course is. So we said, for example, why we are pushing this particular basic skills in e-tutoring. And one of the reasons why we are advocating for basics in e-tutoring with a core set of skills is because UNISA has approached the e-learning aspect as part of its philosophical approach. So yeah, as part of, I see somebody's asking, are you sharing the screen? Yes, I am sharing the screen. I'm sure that you all are seeing the screen. Richard, you are seeing my screen, right?
Yes, Enzo.
Okay. So
perhaps also just leave and then come back again, and usually that will fix the error.
Yeah. So colleagues, please, if you are seeing having a problem, just log off and come back on again. Okay. So colleagues, let's get back here so we don't lose too much of time. So on the right, so basically we, as I said, UNISA has approached the open distance e-learning approach, and open distance and the e-learning talks about a level of technology integration as part of our philosophy towards delivering teaching and learning. Now, where you come in quite correctly for us is that you offer a level of student support that goes beyond the normal module sites or the classroom sites. So for example, where there are modules that have a 250 students and more, we appoint a tutor. Right, so the module must have a minimum of 250 students to have one tutor appointed. Now, in some of our modules range from as you may have 500 to some of our modules that may go as far as 20,000, 30,000 students. So it depends on the colleges and it depends on the modules that are being offered for tutoring. Now, in terms of your group, you will have anything between 200 250 students attached to you as part of the tutoring, and it will be your task to facilitate the tutoring with your students, right? So the first thing that you need to understand here is that your role as a tutor will be to facilitate a learning process with the content that is provided to you. So you don't create your own content. Content will be provided to you by your lecturers on what the cause is, right? So you're not going to go and develop content. That's not your role. The role of the academic is to develop the content. Your role will be simply to facilitate, provide an additional level of support that the students can then engage as part of the extension of the learning environment. Now, this is your role, primarily your role as an e-tutor, to provide additional support to the students and a bridge between the lecturer and the university and the students. Now, this course is basically structured with 5 core study units, excluding the orientation study unit, the orientation unit 0 and the conclusion. No prior knowledge is needed to complete this MOOC, so we take it for granted that we're all working from a foundation, and we're building that foundation up. So even if you have some level of assumed knowledge, we don't assume that to be in place. We're literally building the knowledge from bottom up. So you will have to complete this course, you will have 2 sets of assessments. You will have a series of online activities, that's assignments, which will consist of give you a 40%, a weighting of 40%, and then you submit a portfolio which carries 60%, right? So it's a series of assignments, small assignments, 40%, and a final portfolio, 60%. Now we will discuss that in greater detail in the orientation. Now you will also know that, as I mentioned, we have the calendar, the chat, and the chat tool is quite nice. So basically if you click on the chat icon, the chat room, it opens up something of this sort, and you can then go in and simply type in your message as you would do it any instant messaging chat, and it immediately captures this on your chat. Now this means that this is why I say it's synchronous in real time. But it also allows for asynchronous, which means I can now come and view any of these conversations previously, and I can then respond to it by simply putting @ and the person's name and then respond to it. So this is actually a very good way, colleagues, to communicate with us outside of the WhatsApp group. I'll talk a little bit about the WhatsApp group later, but the idea here is that we want to centralize all the teaching, all the chatting, all the communication onto the main platform, which is a teaching course platform. So if you have any questions on the course, if you do not understand anything, if you want to ask us anything, if you want to ask your fellow peers anything, use this space for your communication. This is why we've integrated this as part of the course, is to centralize communication so that we have a record of all the communication, but also helps you to follow the thread of the conversations as opposed to simply having long discussions on your mobile device on WhatsApp. Now let's go through the studies. So the first thing you'll find is an honor code. Now, the honor code, colleagues, is simply telling you that as participating in this course, we want you to comply with certain regulations, certain principles of an online course. So, for example, complete all tests and assignments on your own unless collaboration is stipulated. Now you may think shouldn't be a problem because everybody does it on their own, but I must also say that we had cases where we had students that are actually copying to the extent that some actually paid other people to complete their assignments for them. Now that will not be taken lightly, colleagues, because those brings on disciplinary actions, as we had in our previous case, where one of the tutors paid somebody to complete their assignments and portfolio, and the company that they paid came back to UNISA and told us what happened. So please, colleagues, assignments, tests, assignments, portfolio is on your own. We want to ensure that you have the competencies so that you can provide that additional level of support to our students. Also, your username and password, please don't distribute that to anybody or don't give that to anybody. It's your private password. Also, you need to engage in all the activities properly, fairly. Also, post answers to prompts to assist students, but not compromising any of the assessments, right? Then we don't want any so for example, content that defames, harasses, threatens others. This is not a place for pornography, obscene. Now you may ask, this is why we say we actually had these issues as part of the tutoring. This is why we had to refine some of these prohibited items. So it sounds strange, but we actually had incidents such as these. So please read this very carefully. And if we find that, for example, somebody starts to put up profane gender issues, etc., that are very defamatory, we simply remove you from the course. We notify the university, we remove you from the course, because when you enroll for the course, you understand that this is the environment that UNISA is putting forward. As an open space, we comply with these as part of our honor code. Getting started, colleagues, is a video that will help you to get started with the course. Now, we know that some of you may be new to the online space, and also some of you may be new to this particular platform. Now, this learning management system is underpinned by Sakai, which is an open source system, and you might be new to this particular platform, but what we've done is we've captured a basic navigation of the site. So watch this video right at the beginning to provide you with a quick orientation to the site itself and how to navigate through these discussion or these tabs, how to post a discussion forum, how to post a chat. So those are key principal activities that you will be engaged with as part of this course that you are now engaged with, right? So let's look at Study Unit 0. Now, Study Unit 0, the aim of Study Unit 0 is to provide you with an orientation on this site. Now, orientation of the course is to provide you, say, this is what the course consists of, and this is what we expect from you. So this MOOC is designed to enhance the competence of e-tutors within an ODEL education environment. So that's a primary goal. This MOOC consists of 5 study units, and that's not counting the orientation and the conclusion study unit. So study unit 1 will focus on understanding the role of an e-tutor in an ODEL environment. We unpack what it means to be an e-tutor within UNISA's ODEL environment. Study unit 2 will then focus on applying basic pedagogical skills in an ODEL environment. When I talk about basic pedagogical skills, it's about how you teach, how you facilitate in an online environment. Now remember, this is very different from a classroom setup. So this is why we equip you with pedagogical skills to allow you to have those basic competencies to facilitate in an online space. Then study unit 3. We then talk about designing social and experiential learning experiences for an online environment. And here we foreground the fact that when we are engaging with our students, despite the fact that they may be scattered throughout the country in different areas, some internationally, they are still social beings. That means there's still a social element of the person involved in an online space. And we need to account for that as part of the tutoring and build on that as part of how we communicate and create collaborative spaces online. Then study unit 4, we will focus on understanding the online environment and applied competencies. And here we will talk about how do you some of the core functions of the learning management system. Now, UNISA has moved from Sakai to Moodle, which will be implemented in 2022. And as part of this, we are going to give you an introduction to Moodle as well. Richard is going to run you to some important parts of Moodle. But in January, we will also call all tutors, that means all current tutors plus those that have completed the course, for a refresher course on Moodle in January. So we will also have a refresher for all of you that are part of this course, and also in January to engage with Moodle, the new learning management system at UNISA. And then finally, study unit 5 is understand the e-tutor walk within an ODEL environment. And this more specifically, we try to orient you to some of the key stakeholders at UNISA, such as the human resources that you will communicate with for your contracts, for your finances, also the library services for those additional materials that you may need, your lecturers, so all those are key stakeholders. And we walk you through what we call the e-tutor walk within an ODEL institution environment. This course will be delivered in 3 modes. So we'll have the online course, which you now have in front of you. Traditionally, we also used to go to the different regions. So we would have visited KZN, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, and had workshops. But we know that because of COVID restrictions, that this is not possible, and we also don't want to endanger anyone's life. So we will not be having face-to-face work sessions, but we will be having these type of webinars using MS Teams. So we'll literally be using the online course content and the webinar sessions using Teams, which is the 4 compulsory sessions that I just spoke about. Specific learning outcomes. So what we want you to do is understand the role of an e-tutor in an ODAL environment, understand basic pedagogical skills in an ODAL environment and apply that to your tutoring space. You should be able to design social and experiential learning in an online environment. You should be able to demonstrate an understanding of what the online environment is, the learning management system. And last, you should be able to understand what the e-tutor walk in an ODAL environment is. Now, initially, this course was designed to take 8 to 10 weeks. However, we've reduced it now, and we've also reduced the content to some extent. So we're now running this course over a 4-week boot camp so that we can get you out of the system as fast as possible, get you appointed, and release you into the classes. So this takes you 4 weeks. However, we do know that life happens and sometimes you may have challenges with the submission of your assignments. So we do have grace periods, but not just a few days of grace periods to submit your final portfolio, etc., that we will discuss towards the latter part of this course. Then prescribed materials. All prescribed materials for this course are on the course site. As I mentioned previously, colleagues, we do not send out study material. We do not print study material. Neither do we circulate articles. Everything that you need is on this course site. This is why it is critical that you access the course site and access the materials. This will provide you with a complete orientation to what the course is. If you have not done so, I would encourage you to do so immediately, even while the course is while we are doing the session, to go on, create your accounts and log on. Then we also create a WhatsApp community. Now, the WhatsApp community, colleagues, is basically the intention behind it is for us to establish a community of practice. Now, you will notice that we have already in the WhatsApp group, I think about 164, it might be slightly more, people that are on the WhatsApp group. And these are people from different colleges, different disciplines, different departments. And in a normal situation, these WhatsApp groups are ideal because it allows for cross ideas or sharing of ideas across the different disciplines, across the different colleges. It also allows for you to build a community of practice amongst yourselves so that you can encourage each other as you are going through the course, but also help each other with references, sources, anything that you may find that can benefit your colleagues. However, so for those that have not yet joined the specific WhatsApp community of practice for this cohort, simply click on that link and you will then be taken to the WhatsApp group you can join. Remember, this is voluntary. We do not force you to join this group. However, I've also been I didn't want to respond to this earlier, but we've also been following some of the WhatsApp conversations, and it's becoming a bit too much for many people, as I've taken note, with a number of WhatsApp texts that are being appearing on. And I can understand that many people are anxious about the cause and what we're going to do the cause, or how it's going to work, and it's a good space to actually do that. But in order for us to ensure that we have some sense of calmness in the group, but we do not cause more anxiety among some of our colleagues, and we do not cause any tensions in the group, I've decided that we will shift the status of the group. So we'll only have admins that are posting, notifying you, and using this as an announcement. So it restricts communication. We will also limit our communication to such an extent that we try to post at least once or twice per day or every second day so that you are able to follow the information. But however, in saying that and restricting the posting to myself and Richard as admins, I also want to create an opportunity for you to engage in this group as well. I want to create an open space for us to utilize, but I want to do it in such a way that we have a shared responsibility of how we engage in these spaces. So what we're going to do, colleagues, is every Thursday between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Every Thursday for the 4 weeks that we have, between 6 p.m. to 4 p.m. 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. for 1 hour, we will open the chat group. So that means every Thursday between 6 to 7, we will have a collective group that we can all engage with the group will open at 6. You can then post your comments. You can engage. We will engage with you, and the group will close. The chat will close at 7 p.m. so that we don't have any conversations after that. So remember, every Thursday between 6 to 7, I will notify you that the chat is now open for conversations and we can engage each other. This is one way that we will control the flow of the text, and we will also be able to control that we have more meaningful discussions as part of the use of this group. Now, activities, you will note that in each of these study units, if you've already started engaging with this, we've intentionally designed learning activities. Now, the learning activities are not compulsory. The only learning activities that we want you to be as compulsory is the activities in study unit 0, your orientation, and your last study unit on your post-course evaluation. So we want you to complete the baseline assessment, because the baseline assessment helps us to understand your current level of skills. And then we want you to complete the post-course assessment, which is right at the end. And at the end of the course, the post-course assessment will then help you to evaluate your own growth as part of this course. So baseline assessment simply means that you are at the beginning of it, you are then allowed to rate yourself in terms of your skills. And then at the end of the course, you are able to then rate yourself, use the same descriptors to see your own growth in this course, right? So those are only 2 compulsory activities. The rest of the activities are voluntary, but however, the activities are designed to help you with your portfolio question. So you are welcome to do these activities. I would actually encourage you, if you have the time, to go through those activities. But we also understand that many of you may not have all the time to go through. So if you want to select a few activities and go through, please feel welcome to do that. However, critical for us is the assessments, right? So as I mentioned earlier, your progress in this MOOC will be formally assessed through 4 online assessments. So each study unit will have 1 online assignment, right? So you have study unit 1 with an online assignment, study unit 2, study unit 3, study unit 4. We don't give you an online assignment for study unit 5. And then you have a portfolio which carries 60%. So we'll discuss all this in greater detail with you. Your 2 course facilitators is myself and Richard. And then you'll see at the beginning, activity 1, this is what your activities look like. Introduction, expectations, introduce yourself, and then your activity, your baseline assessment. Now, it takes a bit of time. We noticed that when you are uploading your baseline assessment, it takes a bit of time to upload onto your platform, but it eventually gets uploaded. I think there's some problems with the server, which ICT is currently working with. So colleagues, this gives you a good understanding of what your orientation is. Yeah, I see some of you are asking the questions, activities. I mentioned, colleagues, that the activities are not compulsory. We only want you to complete activity, the first activity in your orientation, and the last activities where the post-course evaluation. And that's an important part for us. The rest are not compulsory, but we encourage you to complete it as part of the learning process. Okay, colleagues, so this study unit 0, we will encourage you to read it again on your own, and this will give you a good guidance on what to expect for this course. At this time, I'm going to ask Richard to quickly give you a demo of how the discussion forum works, so that you are also able to use the discussion to post in discussion forum as part of your course. Richard, will that be okay with you?
Yes, Enzo. Just quickly gonna share my screen. Close that one up. So everyone, when you, oh wait, let me rather use the site over here. So when you go to the discussion forums, remember at each of the study units, some of the activities as well, it will require you to access the discussion forum. So even though the link is available at the bottom of the study unit, for instance, where you have to go and post your assignment, this will open the specific discussion. Another way to access, as Lisa mentioned, is on the left-hand side. You can click on forums, and this will also open all the forums that is available here, and you can select, for instance, if you're going to submit assignment 1, let me just click here. It's already opened for me, that one. So you're going to submit assignment 1, then you can just click on assignment 1 to also access the specific assignment for submission. When you get here, all you need to do is just start a new conversation. So at the top, you just click to start a new conversation. You can put your name, for instance, and assignment 1. So I'll just put Richard, assignment 1. And then you can also optionally, they will usually display a text box for you to upload or type in questions. Let me just quickly cancel here. But the web server is giving me quite a bit of problems today. So I'm just going to click here, for instance, add attachments. So usually if you click on add attachments, you can browse for your specific file. You can upload a new file that you want to attach for your specific assignment. And then once you upload it, your file through your browser, it will upload, and then you can just say post to the discussion forum. So today we had a few questions regarding people that try to upload files and then it gets stuck with the processing. So there was a bit of a problem with the server today where it is very slow. So one thing to check if the file was uploaded correctly is to come to forums, click on assignment 1, then usually yours, if you submit it, will be right at the bottom. So if you click on here, for instance, then you will see that the assignment has been submitted. So for instance, I can see there's one over here that's already submitted. Preferably, if you can put in your text in the text area that's displayed, or you can upload your files as PDF or Word. PDF is the preferred method, so that ensures that when we get the file, we open it in our Word, it doesn't perhaps change the formatting, or you need additional plugins for it to work. So usually PDF attachments does work the best. If you're unable to create a PDF, you can type into the chat box directly. Just note, when you're going to type into the chat box, rather still do it in a word processing document and then copy over the text into this specific area. Let me see if the chat box will open for me. Yeah, it's still not giving me the option to show you the WYSIWYG editor. Let me just cancel over here. So when you type in here, you can, usually if you paste it over, they will copy over the formatting as well. But as I mentioned, don't sit in here and type out everything, because after 10 minutes, it will log you out in the background, and sometimes it doesn't auto-save. So you might be able to lose the work that is in here. So preferably, if you can, just go to conversations and then start a new conversation in the specific forum. And you give it a title, your name, and the assignment. You add an attachment, and then you select the browse to go and look for attachment. Let me just say clean add attachment. So this is always the preferred one. If you realize afterwards you made a mistake, rather don't do a new forum post. Rather come to the forum post and then reply to your existing one. So it just makes it for us easier also to find where you submitted your last assignment. So all you need to do then is you go and you look for your name where you submitted. You click on here, you reply to your existing conversation that you have, and then you just basically attach the new document, and you can just make a note. Please note the latest upload. We will be able to see that it has been that it is the latest copy. Just another thing to note also that we've noticed in the past is if you get a lot of emails from, say you now submitted, and then suddenly you're starting to get emails from everybody that's starting to post on here. So just go to forums, and then you go to at the top, there will be a watch, and just make sure that you set it to no notification. If you're going to leave it to for every single message that's posted, then you will get a lot of messages. For some, this is set by default, or you perhaps accidentally set it, but mostly it will already be set to no notifications. But you just make sure that your mailbox is not spam by making sure that the watch is set to no notifications. Yes, so I just want to try again to see if the WYSIWYG editor will open for us. Let's try this one quickly. Doesn't seem to want to open on my side. Let's see. But it's not that important. As mentioned, to try the attachments, usually you'll get a text box over here in this empty space where you can type in your text and then from there submit. But as mentioned, don't sit and type on here for hours on end. Rather do it in a Word document where you've got a backup, and then when you're done, you just copy and paste it in here, and then you post your comment to the forum. So just remember, there's two ways to access the forum. It's in the study unit where the activity takes place, or alternatively, you can go to forums and then click on the specific forum and make sure that your assignment is uploaded correctly, that it is attached at the bottom. So if you get in that situation where it hangs a long time, most likely in the background already uploaded, it just gave an error at the end of the uploading. But we usually, the server is quite responsive, so it's just for the last few days that it's been, there's some network issues, but ICT is working on it. That's all for me, Denzel.
Thanks, Richard. So colleagues, you have an idea now how that works, and now that's important when you are submitting your assignments and your portfolio. So colleagues, just to recap, so you've got 4 assignments and 1 portfolio. That means you've got a total of 5 assessments for this course. The 4 assignments will consist of 10% each. So it means 4 times 10% equals 40%. And then the portfolio carries 60% to give you a total out of 100%. Right? So 4 assignments at 10% each, that's 40%. 1 portfolio at 60% gives you a total of 100%. In terms of the pass rate, the pass rate for this course is 60%. That means you must have a minimum of 60% to pass the course. Now remember, I'm stressing this, 60% to pass the course, but it may not necessarily be 60% to be appointed for a course. There are some colleges that have said that this is very competitive for them. They really want the best. So some colleges have actually said you need to get at least 70-75% to be appointed. So you need to check what your college has also put up. Now, in saying that, it's not very difficult to score I marks. People actually score quite I marks in this course because you will see that it is designed not to trap you, but to test your competencies. For example, the 4 assignments are small assignments that really test your competencies. In terms of the portfolio is an application at the end of it where we want you to design the tutorial that you will use as part of your learning tutoring class. So it really gives you an idea of or demonstrating the competency that you have to your colleges and the departments that you are capable of tutoring as part of this. Now, in terms of the so the pass rates, as I said earlier, the 4 assignments in the 1 portfolio, where you will find the assignments, each study unit. As I will show you now, at the end of each study unit, you have the assignment question, and you can then do the assignment in each study unit. Now, in terms of due dates, colleagues, we understand that everyone seated here are either working or have other responsibilities as well. We do not want to micromanage how you work with your assignments and your portfolio. This is left entirely onto you. We expect you to be disciplined enough to pace yourself with your 4 assignments and your portfolio. All we ask is at least by the 10th of December, when this course ends, that you submit all the assignments and the portfolio for us to grade. So you can decide whether you want to work your assignments out such a way that you want to work with it weekly and submit it, or if you find that you want to work on a different time, whatever time suits you, that's perfectly fine with us. Or we say at the end of this boot camp, at the end of the 4 weeks, we require you to submit all your assignments and the portfolio for us to grade. So you can take full control of your submission process as you work through it. Now, In terms of this particular day, how we run these webinars, colleagues, are quite simple. So the webinars are actually designed for us to walk you through each study unit, right? So in terms of each study unit, we will basically use the first hour in our webinar session to run you through some of the content or the key ideas, what we call a power session. A power session basically allows you to walk through some of these courses to provide the key ideas. What are the key discourses in each of these study units? So we do not go through the entire study unit. Today, the reason why we are going a bit more extensively through it is because it's the first session and we want to provide you the full orientation. So the first study unit, let's look at the first study unit. So all your study units are set up in a similar structure, right? So for those 43 that are already online, as I can see here, you can follow in your own course site as well. So you'll see each study unit as the outcome. So at the beginning of the study unit, we say what you should be able to do. So for example, the first study unit talks about understanding the role of an E-Tutor in ODEL environment. At the end of the study unit, you should be able to demonstrate an understanding of what ODEL is, distinguish between E-Tutor and face-to-face tutor, differentiate institutional context, ODEL, and contact, demonstrate an understanding of the profile of the student in ODEL institution, identify the roles of an E-Tutor, explain the difference between teaching and tutoring, and process the evaluate the information on matters pertaining to the relationship between E-Tutor and the module lecturer. Okay. So in terms of key questions, what we want you to unpack here at the end of the day is to your understanding of ODEL, understanding what the needs of a student in ODEL institution is, how well you understand our students learn, in particular ODEL students, how does your module lecturer expect, what does your module lecturer expect from you as an E-Tutor, what is the role of e-tutoring, and how well do you understand your own teaching facilitation style, right? So we want to see that demonstrated at the end of the study unit. So here, colleagues, we have two core readings. The first core reading is by Omberg on the evolutionary principles of practice of distance education, and Moore is theory of transactional distance. Now remember, colleagues, open distance e-learning institution, distance learning. So we are trying to show you and demonstrate to you what it means to be part of a distance education institute as opposed to a contact institution. So here in the introduction, we start to unpack a little bit about what is distance education, what is open distance education, what is open distance e-learning, what do we mean by contact and face-to-face learning institutions, and remember UNISA, further when we say open distance e-learning, we say blended approach as well. So there's an element of a blended style as part of this. Then we also talk about My UNISA, which is the UNISA learning management system, where all our courses are hosted and where you will also be given a tutoring site on the My UNISA, right? So the My UNISA is UNISA's learning management platform, and you will be given a tutoring course site where you will have your students, your 250 students. As part of your own group, you will then teach on that particular course site attached to you. My Life is the UNISA student email account. Now, we only communicate as part of the institutional policy with our students via the UNISA email address, right? So we do not communicate with students via their Gmail addresses, any of the other addresses. It's only via the UNISA email address. And the reason why we do that is because of the POPI Act, the privacy of public of personal information, but also we can account for what is being communicated, right? Tutoring in an ODEL, what do we mean by tutoring in ODEL, face-to-face tutoring, and how we differentiate face-to-face tutoring from the e-tutoring. Okay, and remember, face-to-face tutoring is done in a physical setup. So we used to have this post-COVID, with COVID impacting the amount of people that can attend a particular session. We've actually phased this out to some extent, and we now have e-tutoring, but we still have face-to-face tutors in the system, which we are reworking at how they can actually just work on the space. But e-tutoring is where you come in, and your role would be basically to look at the e-tutoring support, right? What is distance learning? And this looks at the first article. So it attempts to unpack what distance learning is. And remember, when we talk about distance, we talk about geographical distance as well as time distance. Geographical means location-wise. The student can be anywhere in the country, outside the country, and we have students, international students as well, especially also for students from other parts of Africa, and also distance in terms of time. There are students who are mature students that are working. There are some students who are younger that are also working. There are some students who are not working but full-time students that, I mean, they pitch up literally, some of them on a campus sites, library sites, and they are full-time students as well. So that mediation between distance, time is quite critical for us. In such a context, it means that we really need to think about what is student support in a distance learning environment. So it's not such a way that you would have in a traditional contact university where we have what we would call traditionally consultation sessions, where you would have a student from a residential university can walk into your office for X amount of time or within X amount of hours on specific days and consult you. Now we actually do all this, the same kind of consultation mediated by technology in online space. So what it means now is that you need to think very strategically how you would tailor your tutoring so that you provide that level of consultation to your students within specific times on the online space. Now, obviously, as a tutor, we do not expect you to be 24 hours on the online space. It's impossible, right? So what we do expect is that you are actually on the site regularly, you are frequently on the site, you are consulting with students, you are providing them information, you are developing discussion forums, you're providing activities, and this is what the academic support coordinators, what we call the ASCs, will monitor to see your engagements in the online space. So at the end of every month, when they are getting ready to pay you, they simply log onto the site, pull out the stats to see how much you have discussed, how you've been on the site, your frequency on the site, etc. And they will pay you based on the minimum amount of work that you've done. And this will also be discussed with you as part of your contracting process when you are appointed with the institution. So remember, this work that you do in the online space is actually monitored by the institution and more specifically the academic support coordinators. Then the activity by the two readings that we got by Omberg and Moore. So this speaks more specifically on what we are talking about in terms of the institutional context and what Moore calls transactional distance. Now, that's a very important concept, transactional distance. So as you start unpacking these readings, you'll find that Moore talks about this concept, transactional distance, right? And transactional distance means mediating the distance between your students as a geography, time, location, etc., and how that learning takes place across these distances. Okay. Okay, I just want to see this one section. Okay, so online, we then have a video discussing the online and the face-to-face tutoring, what this actually means, and then UNISA's context. So remember, UNISA moved from open distance learning to open distance e-learning. So previously we were just open distance learning, which meant that we did integrate technology, but it was not seen as compulsory. It was seen as an ad hoc part of our teaching and learning approach. But when we shifted to open distance e-learning, the integration of E meant that the technology was no more ad hoc. It was now integrated as part of the entire teaching and learning process. So it's not seen as optional, it is seen as compulsory. It is part of your learning experience at UNISA, which means that our UNISA students should be able to go online, should be able to communicate with you, should spend time with you as part of your tutoring to engage in the content that they are learning, and you should be able to engage with them and provide that additional level of support through the online space. So in that sense, the E part of it means that we use the technology as a very integrated medium as part of our delivery approach, right? And if you look at some of these stats are up to 2018. We'll actually have to look at up to the 2020 stats and pick this up, but you can get a good idea of where some of the large colleges are. So for example, you can see CASE, which is the College of Agriculture, Environmental Studies, Accounting Sciences, and you can see the size of CEDU, which is a College of Education. A large part, 1/3 of our students is literally in the College of Education. And CHEMS, College of Economic and Management Studies, College of Human Sciences, a College of Law, College of Science, Engineering and Technology. That's a graduate school, that's a School of Business Leadership, and these are occasional courses that are like short learning programs, etc. So if you look at this, you'll have an overall idea of where a majority of our students are sitting at. So if you look at 1, 2, 3 disciplines and 4, these are your major disciplines where your colleges where your students are at. So in terms of understanding what ODAL is, we want you to watch this video, and then this is what we call activities, learning activities. So remember, as I said earlier, you do not need to do all these learning activities. So they're not compulsory. The only compulsory activities, as I said earlier, are the baseline assessment in study unit 0, orientation, the baseline assessment, and the last activity in this course, which is the post-course assessment. So you only have 2 learning activities that are compulsory. The list of these learning activities, as indicated in this format, is optional, but we encourage you to do it because it actually provides that additional information that you have as part of your learning process. Distance learning, then we unpack what distance learning is, how we provide that type of learning to our students, and with the integration of technology, it now offers an additional level for us to bridge. So, for example, some of our academics use Facebook. WhatsApp is we actually frown on the integration of WhatsApp. So we see many of our students have started their own WhatsApp groups. But the reason why we don't like the WhatsApp groups and we don't consider it official spaces of UNISA, Telegram, WhatsApp are not official UNISA spaces, is simply because of the POPI Act. We do not allow for the circulation of students' phone numbers, profile pictures, etc. on a common group that can be shared amongst all people. So that goes against the institutional POPI Act. So this is one of the reasons why we frown and we don't see these as official spaces for WhatsApp. Telegram, we don't see that as official spaces. Secondly, why we don't recognize that as official spaces, even for your own tutoring, is because the institution cannot monitor what's done on that. So if we cannot monitor what's done on WhatsApp and Facebook, we cannot pay you for work that has been done. So just remember that any work that is done on WhatsApp and Teams, WhatsApp and Telegram, we do not recognize. We only recognize work that is being done on the UNISA Open Learning, UNISA Learning Management System, right? So that's very important because I know many students are forming these own groups. So just be careful of that. Characteristics, we then look at what are some of the characteristics of distance learning students. So for example, some are adults with busy life, work commitments, some have clear goals. The implication, for example, of somebody that's working will be the type of learning that they are doing weekends, nighttime, which also directly impacts on when you will select your tutoring. Now, remember, we did not tell you what time you must tutor, which days you must tutor. That you discuss directly with your academic support coordinators and your department that you are tutoring with. They will provide you with those very important guidelines, because remember, you are some of you are one in a group of many other tutors for that particular module. So they will work with you and come up with the time frames that you will need to be tutoring, how many hours, etc. So your academic support coordinators and your academic departments will provide you with that critical information on when you will actually be required to tutor on those sites. In many cases, some departments have allowed many tutors to be flexible, saying that you have spent X amount of hours in the week, whatever it is, we want to see you online. Then there are some departments that have been very specific and stated hours, so you will need to consult your academic department to get clarity on that in terms of the approach that you will use as part of your tutoring. Understanding how students learn. So for those that are from the educational background, will know the common theories of behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and connectivism. Now, in terms of how we see the teaching and learning approach at UNISA, specifically the tutoring element of it, we use what we call this entire model of tutoring is built on what we call the integrated tutor model, and it uses the ITM approach, integrated tutor model approach, and it is built on the social constructivism approach. Social constructivism means that our students create and learn together with us as part of this, right? And we integrate the students a way of constructing and building knowledge and the learning process. And it's also in parts as part a bridge as part of George Simmons and connectivism, in the sense that we use mobile devices and integrate the students as part of this technology space in which we teach. So here it gives you a good idea of some of the theories, and we focus on theories as part of the very foundation of this course right at the beginning in study unit 1, is because we want to make sure that we're not just giving you practical ideas of what to do and you don't have any idea of what are the theoretical underpinnings and why these are important for you to use this particular approach. So this is why right at the beginning we tackle the theory as part of this. The role of the tutor. And here, your role as a tutor is to minimize transactional distance. That means the learning distance between you and the student and the institution, the student and the lecturer. You are to mediate underpreparedness of students, cater for diverse student needs, and cater for new profile students. Right. So this is primarily the role of a tutor. And in terms of breaking that down further, facilitate online delivery of tutorial material. Remember, as I said earlier, this material is provided to you by your lecturer. All you're doing is getting the material and then designing learning activities, designing discussion forums, etc., around the teaching material that is provided to you by your academic departments. Manage students' learning experiences online and facilitate students' interaction between their fellow students. Provide students support with academics and technical support where needed, right? So these are some of the generic ideas. For example, social. What do we mean by social? For example, we want you to personally welcome every student to the course. Now, remember, if, for example, you got 20,000 students sitting in a course, it is impossible for one lecturer to have that personal relationship with 20,000 students across a course. So this is where you come in as a tutor to provide that personal kind of reflection with the 250 students or so that is linked to you. So that personal kind of engagement with your students, right? Encourage interaction, motivate students' active participation, to praise and reinforce good behavior. And remember, as I said earlier, these are social spaces, which means that we must be able to kind of inject in some kind of humor online, but in a, and I must stress this, in a very respectful manner that we engage with our students. So we create a comfortable space for them to engage. We create a space in which they can be comfortable to ask you questions. We can create a space in which the learning can take place in a much easier process that is than being simply in a large classroom with a module with 20,000 students, right? So this is that personal space between you and your students. Managerial. Provide instructions and schedules, respond to academic questions, send out regular announcements, inform students of inform admin of students' participation. So this managerial role means managing the student space between the students and also managing the academic responsibilities that your department will have on you. So you literally serve as a bridge between your students and the academic department, the lecturer. Technical, so some of the technical elements that you will need to provide them will simply of how to engage the learning management system. If they need to, for example, reset the passwords, provide guidance on how they can contact ICT, etc. So those are some of the things that we will cover with you towards the latter part of the course to provide that basics for you. Now, the difference between an online e-tutor and a face-to-face tutor. So firstly, you facilitate online while a face-to-face is physically in the classroom. You do asynchronized or synchronized, while the face-to-face is literally synchronized. They don't have an extension space. E-tutoring is available 24/7, which means that they simply log onto the space and they will have access to whatever tutorial materials that you put on. Whereas in a face-to-face classroom, it's done once a week or whatever it is, right? In terms of how you execute, you have 15 weeks per semester. So you have an equivalent of 75 hours to tutor, right, online. Whereas the face-to-face tutors only have 15 hours as part of their contract. So your contract will be slight, and when you get your contracts, please make sure that you take note of the amount of hours, the amount of weeks that are stipulated as part of your contract, and then you will have a better idea of what is expected from you in terms of the institution. Okay. Then the role of the e-tutor, as I said, you can do the activity describing the role of the e-tutor. The differentiation between teaching and tutoring, and now this is very important, is that, remember, teaching is done on the main course site where the academic basically teaches. You tutor. And the difference between teaching and tutoring is that you're not preparing any content. And the reason why we don't want you to prepare any content, you're not designing new content, you're not designing new curriculum, right? That curriculum is already designed by the academic and provided to you. That means when the academic designed the content, they actually took into consideration the notional study hours that is ascribed to that module. So for example, if it's a 12 credit module, it has 120 notional hours, and the academic would have then taken into consideration the amount of content and the assessments that's equivalent to that 120 hours. That means there is no space for you to design new content outside the curriculum and provide your students. But what you will do is tutor. Now, tutor means that you will take the content and you will design learning experiences based on the content that is already provided to you, not create new content. So that means you can have the study material, you will be developing discussions, activities, maybe videos to help your students, podcasts to help your students, those kind of elements. So additional material based on the teaching material that is already provided to you as part of this learning process. Okay, and then study unit 1 is conclusion. So you now come to the end of the study unit. You have a better understanding of what is distance education, as well as your role of an e-tutor in the space, and as well as some introductory preliminary components on the pedagogical theories that underpin your tutoring approach. Now, I told you every single study unit, with an exception of study unit 5, the 4 main study units would have an assignment question. So your assignment, you find this assignment question at the end of every study unit. So your assignment question for the first study unit 1, is to discuss what you understand by the concept transactional distance, right? That's your assignment question. Discuss what you understand by the concept transactional distance and how this concept impacts tutoring within a distance learning environment. Look at the article by Moore on transactional distance and then discuss what this means in the tutoring space, right? Instructions. Now, I give you clear instructions on what you need to do, and this is how we standardize everybody's response. To answer this question, you need to use a core reading by Moore. Your response must be between 750 to 1,000 words. We do not penalize you if you go more than that, but we ask for minimum of 750. The reason why we want to be fair with everyone marking. So we want you to have a minimum of 750 so that we don't get 2 lines or 3 lines and expect you to give 10%. So remember, it's marked 10 points out for each of these, right? So 4 assignments, you get 10 points. The assignment question contributes 10 points towards your final mark. An assignment must be submitted using the link provided. So for example, if you come here, you'll see the link that is provided and you do exactly what Richard showed you earlier on how to submit that assignment. Note that you can paste your answer directly in the forum. So if you do not want to submit it on a Word document and embed it here, you can post it directly on the forum as well. However, we actually encourage you to put it in the Word document or PDF document because it makes it easier, right? Write in your own words. Do not simply provide a summary of Moore, and also please do not plagiarize, do not copy and paste. We want to see your understanding of this, right? Remember, if you copy answers of your fellow participants, it immediately results in 0, and that means you lose 10 points. Note that as a formal assessment, we want to see the traditional essay conventions, which means that you should have an introduction, body, conclusion, and you should have references. Now, I don't want you to state introduction, body as the heading, conclusion as the heading. These are substructures in any essay that we want, so you can use different themes, etc., as part of sub-themes, as part of the subheadings, etc. But we want to see an introduction, body, and conclusion. And references, we don't specify a specific reference format because we know that you all are in different disciplines and you may have a preference, preferred referencing style in your discipline. So you use whatever referencing style that you feel comfortable with, but all we want you is standardize that referencing across all your assignments and work that you submit. Okay. So that gives you an understanding of the first assignment, what is required from you. And as you can see, we're not tricking you. There's nothing difficult with this. You simply read the article by Moore, gain an understanding of transactional distance, and apply what you read to the tutoring space. Straightforward answer as part of this. Okay. References, in terms of references, remember, we expect you to use the 2 sources as part of this, but we also encourage you to use other sources as well. Right, so you can use any other additional material as well. Okay, so colleagues, this gives you a good idea of study unit 1 and what it consists of. Next week we'll discuss study unit 2, and then the following week study unit 3, etc. Okay, so each week, as I said, this week we're taking a little bit more time. I'm going through more extensively with this because it's our first week. But when we meet every week, my assumption is that you would have already gone through the content because it's already available to you. And we just highlight the key points, the key elements that we want you to focus on in each study unit. Let me stop there. Richard, I don't know if you want to add anything before we open the floor.
No, Denzel, I think you answered most of the questions that's still outstanding. So they can use additional sources, but please use the core sources in your referencing as well. And then there was just another one. Grading will only commence after the final due date. Denzel, can you give them perhaps an indication of when grading will be completed?
Yes, Richard. So Richard, to colleagues, remember, we expect all the submissions to be in by the 10th of December, which is the last day of the bootcamp. We will then take a week and a half to grade, with an understanding that by around the 7th to 18th, we should have all your marks on. Now remember, all your marks should be captured online. which means that you don't wait for us to give you your marks. You simply go to Gradebook. On your left-hand side tab of your screen, you'll see Gradebook, and your marks will then be available for you in Gradebook. So you'll be able to view your marks as we are grading you as part of the online experience. By 10, it gives us, we then look at 2 weeks for us to mark and finalize. Remember, we have almost 500, so we're looking at about two weeks after that to finalize. By end of December latest, all results must be given to colleges. So please, colleagues, this is why we are stressing that we understand that life happens. We understand that there may be some challenges, and we will accommodate as far as we can. But our main goal is that we complete all the marking, all the grading, and we submit your marks at least by the time university closes, 24th of December, to the colleges, so that by January, as soon as we open, HR can start sending you the contracts for appointing you for the new year. So that's our target. And as I said, we do understand that sometimes you might have challenges, but please remember those are the strict timelines that we are also working on our side as well. So we'll try to accommodate you as far as possible, but we encourage you to please try to be disciplined and work within those time frames. And I also think it'll be much better if by 10th that you are completely done with this, which means you have an easier way to not push this into your holidays as well. So colleagues, I've now unmuted. I've now allowed you to unmute. You will then be able to unmute yourself. So at this point, all I want you to do is raise your hand, and I will then open up. You can then unmute yourself and speak. Now, unfortunately, I see some people have not written their full names as part of their attendees. So the first one that I see here on my list is Toka MD. You're welcome to unmute and then raise your question or comment.
Okay, thank you very much and good evening, colleagues. My first question is, where do we upload our assignments? Because I've opened the other gadget so that I can check where am I going to upload my first assignment. And
Okay.
then my second question is, where do we get the portfolio? Are we going to take all the modules, all the study units, and compile them into one portfolio, or what's going to happen? Thank you very much. That's my two questions.
Okay, in terms of all the questions that you've just asked, everything that you need is actually on the course site itself, even the portfolio as well. So if I share the screen with you, you recall that Richard has already shown you the discussion forum, right? And he's already showed you how to upload on the discussion forum. And if you look at Study Unit 1, when you scroll down to Study Unit 1, right at the bottom of Study Unit 1, as you scroll down, you find your assignment question. And below that, I tell you quite clearly, is we'll discuss what you understand and how the concept discussion forum works. And then I can tell you there's a link here in the bottom. So you see the assignment 1 link, transactional distance. You click on this link and it opens up the space for you to upload your assignment. You upload your assignment directly onto the course site. Okay, so you do not, it's simple. You just, when you're done, click on this, you upload, you go to the discussion forum, you type in your name and upload it onto the forum, just exactly like Richard showed you earlier. If you missed that, you can simply go back to this recording once we upload it on the site, and you'll be able to view the recording where Richard actually demoed how to upload your assignments and anything on the discussion forum. So that's firstly for the assignment. In terms of the portfolio, you will find that I have a separate tab on the left-hand side of your screen, which states quite clearly portfolio in the last study unit. So if you go to study unit 6, right, and in study unit 6, you will find a section called portfolio. And in that section on portfolio, I tell you exactly what is required of your portfolio. Remember, your portfolio as a separate question that is attached to it, and it gives you clear guidelines of what you need to do in your portfolio. So everything in your portfolio you will find in study unit 6 under the icon portfolio. Unfortunately, it's taking a bit longer to open on my side now due to the system, but study unit 6 is where you'll find the portfolio question. So you do not combine all your assignments. You do not accumulate all your assignments into a portfolio. Your portfolio is a separate activity which consists of 60%. So for example, yeah, this is study unit, the last study unit. Here's your portfolio assignment. I tell you exactly what you're required to do. So for example, your portfolio is you're required to design a tutorial This is the rubric that will be used. I show you exactly what you need to do as part of this portfolio. Now, the reason why I'm not discussing this portfolio now, because this portfolio tests the competencies and activities and knowledge that you've already gone through the entire course. We haven't started this as yet. This is going to confuse you if we start discussing the portfolio now. But this, it will give you an idea of what the portfolio is. But we will only discuss the portfolio towards when we come towards the latter part of it, right? Because that will be it'll assess all the work that you've now done and apply, and in which you apply the knowledge you've gained. Okay. Next person I see. Okay, so once you finish, colleagues, just lower your hands so that we know that you've done. The next person I see on my side, I'm just trying to see Richard. It's Matsepe. The floor is yours.
Evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Matsepe. Mine is just simple and straightforward. We've been told we've got 2 compulsory activities. So I just need to check when is the first activity, baseline activity due?
No, it's not. There's no dates for anything, Dr. Matsepe. I don't give you dates for any of the assignments. Neither do I give you dates, separate dates for your portfolio. All we say is by the 10th of December, we want all those completed.
Thank you.
Is that perfect? Thanks. Jonathan, the floor is yours.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. I did manage to register and log in, but when I click on the membership site, it says that I'm not a member of any site.
Yes, remember, you then go to joinable sites. Once you click on membership, you go to joinable sites. You click on the joinable sites, you scroll down, you will find BTODEL1. You then click join, and then you become a member of it. The reason why it's not showing you a member now, because remember, you haven't joined any site as yet. So you must go to joinable sites, click on joinable sites, as Richard is showing on the screen now, which is the 3rd tab. Scroll down, look for BTODEL1, click join, and then that means you enroll for the course. So you must join the course to enroll for it. Okay, perfect. I see next person, Manisi, the floor is yours. Manisi, just unmute and the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Perfect, perfect.
Okay, I just have a short question. I want to know, based on the assignments, are we supposed to reference, and if so, are we supposed to only focus on the prescribed books, or can we also use our own? Yeah, that's the question.
Thanks, Manisi. I think I mentioned this. What we want you to do is make sure that you use the readings, which is the prescribed reading is compulsory, and then you use additional resources to support what you are saying. We encourage the use of additional resources as well.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. Sharon Mudau, you can just unmute. Sharon Mudau, the floor is yours. You can just unmute and then you can raise your question or comment. Okay, I think she's struggling a bit. Namfundo? Namfundo, you can unmute. Namfundo Mbate, you can unmute. Yes, perfect.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. My question is based on the baseline assessment survey on section A, the details of the E-Tutor. There's an information that we do not have: staff number, region, college, and modules. What are we supposed to write there?
You can just leave that blank. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Danilo, the floor is yours. Danilo, you can unmute. Danilo, the floor is yours. You just need to unmute, then you can raise your question or comment. Okay, Danilo stuck. And Lovo, the floor is yours. And Lovo, the floor is yours. You can just unmute.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, hi.
Mine is quite simple. I just wanted to confirm, is this bootcamp going to take place each and every Tuesday up until the 10th of December?
Yes, yes, every week. So this is the first week. Then you got 3 other Tuesdays that we will meet together.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Ndo. Rita Bele, the floor is yours. Rita Bele, just unmute and the floor is yours.
Hi.
Hi.
I think my question is that I applied in 2020, applying for 2021, and I was not appointed to be a tutor then. And I think I'm shortlisted from applying back then. And I don't know which college actually suggested me right now because I applied for quite a few. How do I find out?
Okay, Rita Bele, just forward the same email back to me, tdp@unisa. Just forward it back. I'll be able to see who I copied on that email and tell you which college you're in.
Thank you, will do.
Thanks. Lasiba, the floor is yours. Just unmute, Lasiba.
Hello.
Right, the floor is yours. Carry on.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
Okay, Denzel, from what I heard is that not that I'm being too forward, but there's no like a fixed salary, right? It depends on how much you work and how much you serve. Is it like that?
No. There's a fixed salary.
Oh, there's a fixed salary.
Yeah. You as part of your contract, you get a fixed salary for the month. If you don't do work, you don't get paid for that month. So what it means is that at the end of the month, the academic support coordinators will go on and retrieve the stats on the system to monitor what you've done. And as long as that is sufficient and meets the minimum requirements for your contract for that month, you get paid that fixed amount for the month.
Oh, okay. No, thanks.
Thanks. Okay, Richard, can I hand over you to take over the rest of the questions, Richard? I'll share with you as well.
Yes, Denzel.
Sure. Thanks.
So the next one is Mudua. Sharon. Sharon, the floor is yours.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
So it's not Sharon, it's DK.
Oh, hi, DK.
Yes.
You can go ahead, Salon.
Like, I literally just wanted to know, in terms of like the hours of contact information that we need with students, what is required for us? Like, say for a minimum day, how many hours do we have to consult with students or to conduct tutorials and stuff like that?
This will depend on your lecturer and the college requirements. So unfortunately, we can't answer that because it is unique for each situation.
Individual module, okay.
Yes, so you'll have to unfortunately wait for once you get appointment, they will also orientate you for the college specific need or the module specific needs, and they will let you know exactly how many hours and when you have to be online.
Okay, so basically what we need to do right now is just navigate through the system to do all our assessments, and then from there we get feedback.
Yes, so after you submitted the portfolio, you get marked and we will issue a certificate. So once you successfully completed the course, then it will go back for the college to say that you are appointable.
Appointed or not. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. So Sharon is still having difficulties. So I'm going to Maligana. You can unmute. Maligana, you there? I see you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Oh wait, now the sound is coming.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to confirm the structure of the assignments. Is it introduction, discussion, and conclusion? Or is it the structure provided under the study units?
So some of the units do have a different structure, but if it says essay format, then it will be the formal introduction, body, and conclusion. It's only, for instance, study unit 4 that has a bit of a different structure where you have to answer specific topics. But generally, if you go with the introduction, body, and conclusion for assignment 1, then that will be suitable as you discuss the specific topic. Okay, thank you, Sharon, or Maligana. So I'll open the floor for Temba. Guru.
Good evening, everyone. Mine is on the referencing part. I just need to check. Do we have to have in-text citation as well as the reference list, or only the reference list?
In-text citation as well if you do copy text. Reference specifically in the text.
Okay, thanks.
Pleasure, Siguru. Simba. So the next one is Valencia. Fellow, go ahead.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My question is based on the pass mark. Now, you mentioned that we need at least a minimum of 60%, but that will depend to the college, to the different colleges. So how will we know that my college needs more than 60% and needs a 70, 75, or 80? How will we know that?
Let me quickly ask Denzel. Can you perhaps give some more information on this?
Thanks, Richard. So colleagues, remember the 60% is basic pass, right? So to pass the course, you need 60%. If you do not have 60%, the colleges don't even look at your mark on the system. So when the colleges look at your mark, they will then they arrange the marks in that specific college according to the highest to the lowest. So depending on what category they use, they will then tell you that you have achieved X, Y, Z mark, and as part of that, you can qualify. So that will be done as part of your contracting process at college level. My motivation to all the tutors, quite simply, is when you do this, don't set 60% as your target. Make sure that you're trying to meet the 75% and above.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we've got Charity.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening. My question is actually on the assignment, whereby people upload their assignment. We have a forum. So on that forum, you'll find different assignments. So what I want to know is, can I open those assignments and maybe reference from there? If it's allowed, can I do that?
No.
And then
you cannot do that. Charity cannot do that, Charity. No. You may be able to use and see what it is, but we want to see your own work. Remember, every single assignment that is on that platform, we've marked it, or we read it and we know exactly which student's work it is. And we often find students copying it, and that's how we're able to know. So please, so please, it's very important that you do your work on your own.
Okay.
Yeah, just a quick one. Colleagues, remember that I see there's some people that want to leave the session. Yes, there's a lot of questions are repetition. You're welcome. If you finish, you're comfortable enough, you don't need to wait for the old Q&A session. If you're comfortable enough and your questions have been answered and you don't need to anything else, you're welcome to leave the session. Thanks, Richard.
Okay. Yeah, also note on that is in the past we see a lot of people, then they copy a format from a specific student or group of students, usually the one that posted first, and then it was actually incorrect. So rather focus on doing your own work and to carry over your own opinion and knowledge. So I'm going to give to Athan Kosi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Evening, Richard. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, my question is very simple and straightforward. I had that, if I had correctly, I had that you said we're going to have 4 assignments and each one will contribute 10 marks, right? And then a portfolio of 60. Am I okay?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to ask, when you just showed us one assignment, if we finish the first assignment, where will we get the others? We will scroll down to see the rest of the assignments.
What you need to do is, let me quickly show you here on the site. So we showed you now, for instance, study unit 1. So if you work faster than the weekly meetings, you can go ahead. So all you need to do then is on the site, on the left-hand navigation, you just go to study unit 2. For instance, you completed study unit 1, so you go to study unit 2. And then at the bottom of that study unit will be the information for assignment 2. So you can work at your own pace through all the different modules. And then remember, in study unit 6, you've got the conclusion. In the conclusion, the portfolio information is given. So as you can see here, if study unit 2, if you scroll all the way down, you can get the assignment from here, what you need to do for assignment. But if you need any additional information or support, then please attend the workshop as well. Just also maybe attend the workshop. You might have understood it differently. Then you can always go back and perhaps fix your assignment that you submitted.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I'm captured.
Pleasure. Busisiwe? Busisiwe, Mashishi, you can unmute.
Okay. Good evening, colleagues. For the attendance register purposes, where should we write our names?
The attendance registers are generated automatically, so you don't need to write your name. We actually download the participation from here, and then from here we correlate the email or the surname against the registered people on the MOOC. So if your name is different or you use a different account, then you can add your name, but otherwise it is captured automatically, so you don't have to worry about inserting your name.
All right. Thank you very much. That's clear.
Okay, pleasure. That was Moses. Let's see here. Budiba.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear.
Yes. I just wanted to just say, right, that I think we all need to kind of take this with a grain of salt, like, because we all want the tutors to have the optimal experience, and as well as the educators or the students rather. So I just wanted to make everybody feel like it's okay. We can navigate through the online thing. We're all working through it.
No, definitely. And as mentioned, you can join the group chat on Thursdays as well if you want to hear from your other colleagues. Because at the end it is, everybody is stressed, but rather take it calm. It's not that difficult, really.
Yes, it's really just like transitioning into a new space, and we just all have to be excited and looking forward to how we can contribute towards learning in a distance environment. That's it.
And remember, the knowledge that you also gain here, you can carry across to different environments as well. So it's something that you can, in the future, support you if you go into a different academic institution as well.
Of course. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for your input. Next is Sweetness. Carabello. Sweetness, the floor is yours. Let me just see. Sweetness, I think while we wait for it on mute, let's go to Roof. Roof, you can go ahead. Roof Manamela.
colleagues. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Let me just see.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. I just want to ask because I'm not using my own device. So where do I add my name? I'm not Manamela, I'm Florence, but I'm using his laptop.
You can just add it into the chat.
Through the chat?
Yes, on the chat.
Okay, no, thank you.
We've got Macduff. You can go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
First, I'd like to say thanks for the wonderful presentation. My question is this online platform accessible for 24 hours? Because yesterday I managed to log in, but I couldn't access those units, or I wanted to go under the panel of overview and open up the getting started, undergo the getting started, but I couldn't open it. It gave me an error message.
Yesterday there was server issues. ICT was working on it. So today it's still a little bit slow, but hopefully it will be resolved by tomorrow. So it will be open 24 hours. What I can also recommend is you will see at the top there's a print button. So you can always print it to PDF if you want to read it offline, the material.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sabelo?
Good day. My name is Sabelo Butelezi, and I've just got one question. I joined a bit late today due to some issues. So I just want to know if the podcast of this meeting could be shared with us in any way is possible. Otherwise, thank you for the good presentation and good everything. Thanks.
Okay, so tomorrow we will download the recording and make it available. So if you go to the site, in the left navigation, you'll see there's a webinar recordings. So we'll post all the recordings here and we will share the link on the WhatsApp group. So you'll see from tomorrow, we'll start adding all the links to the recordings on here. So you will be then able to review. If you find that there's any information where you need the additional information, you can just watch the recording. Thanks, Abelo. So, Lesiba?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to ask, because of like when we were applying for this post, we were asked to select between 3 modules. So I just wanted to know, is it possible that you may tutor more than one module? And again, is it possible that you can tutor throughout the whole year? I just wanted to know that. Thanks.
So just let's just explain again, please. Is it possible
is it possible to tutor more than one module? And again, is it possible to tutor throughout the whole year? Like, can you tutor?
Yeah, so usually once you're appointed, they will appoint you per semester, but it goes a lot quicker if you first initially in the system. But unfortunately, with the current policy, you can only do one module for per appointment.
Okay, thanks.
I just want to see so somehow your camera is on. I don't know how you got that right.
Yeah, that's actually a good one because the cameras are limited. I'm not sure how that came on.
He's a hacker.
Yeah.
So next is Emily.
Oh, hi, everyone. I just wanted to ask with regards to the first assignment. I heard you answering a question with regards to insight citations, but for clarity, I wanted to ask if the minimum number of words we're supposed to write, does it also include the references?
No, usually your references is additional that you
Okay.
add at the end of the document.
Okay, all right. Thank you so
For
much.
the introduction, body, and conclusion.
Including citation.
Yes, including citation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Emmanuel? Emmanuel Mananema? It went off. Suntaga? Moses, I think we're almost by you.
Okay.
We're just going down the list. Suntaga? Elliot?
Good evening. Thanks very much for a wonderful presentation. From my side, I wanted to check with you on how do I know that for which module I've been shortlisted, because I've applied for several modules under different departments. Thank you very much.
Denzel, is there a way for them to find out for which college or module they are?
Yeah, okay. So remember, as long as you applied in the same college, all I want you to do is forward the email that I sent you. So forward that email, the exact same email back to the same address, TDP, and there's a ASC's name in a specific college, and I'll be able to tell you which college you're in.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Okay, then we've got Karabo. There we go.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is based on the baseline assessment. Ne? So the baseline assessment, when you on section A, it requires name, staff number, region, and college. So I'm not sure about the staff number. What's supposed to be there? What should we do?
Okay, for those information that you don't have, you can just leave that empty since you're not appointed yet or don't have a staff number yet.
Oh, noted.
Okay, thank you. Masi Themba? Or Masi Thembe? Masi Themba? Igaba? Hand is left. Beauty, Mashawa?
Hi, Richard.
Hi.
I wanted to find that when I registered, I did not use my full credentials. Is it possible to edit my profile, or will that not have any effect?
You can go to, let me just show you quickly on my screen here. So you can go to your profile here at the top. Preferences. Wait. Profile. I just want to see if they do allow you to edit. I don't think you can actually edit your name again once it's been created. What credentials did you put in when you created your profile?
I just used my first name and my surname, so I did not put my full names.
Oh, so we'll still be able to pick you up. Just when at the end, when you have to fill in a form if you're going to get certification, then you just have to provide your full names.
Okay.
But that will enter into a Microsoft form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pumna? Pumna, you're muted again.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think you just answered me now. I just wanted to find out if after the successful completion of this course, do we get a certificate? But the previous speaker, you just said after the certification. So I'm assuming we will get a certificate after the successful completion, correct?
Yes, You will get
Okay.
a certificate of completion, yes.
All right. And then second question. So you mentioned that we gonna be contracted per semester. So let's say now second semester, do we go through the same process or we just on the system and they can just choose us anytime because we've completed this course?
No, so you only complete the course once. Once you're in the
Okay.
system, they just renew your contract.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then we add Moses.
Okay, thank you, Richard. When I was applying, I applied for 2 categories. I think the first one was for E-Tutors and the second one was for teaching assistant, if I'm not mistaken. So I just wanted to find out as to which one am I really shortlisted for?
So this is for E-Tutors.
E-Tutors.
Yes, yeah.
Or not
So
the
this
other
is
one.
not the other one now. You'll
All
probably
right.
get a different communication for the other application.
Oh, okay. No, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
And then we've got Ruth. Ruth Manamela. While we wait for Ruth, let's go to Nicholas.
Yes, evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, perfect. I was trying to download some of the learning materials on especially study unit 1, the first one. So when I tried downloading it, it takes me to another page and it says that my downloading has been exceeded and I yet haven't downloaded anything. So my question is there a way to provide all of these reading materials in the course? Thank you.
What is it specifically? Do you know specifically what you try to download?
I think it's the first. It's the whole back one, the first one, because it's the one that you guys gave us 2 links to it. Because the other one is taking me to a 404 error message.
Oh, okay. I think that might have been also due to the system that has been giving problems. You know, for the last 2 days.
Okay.
Please try again tomorrow. If you're still having problems, then just send an email to the tutor development team, so then we can make this resources available in an alternative way for you to access.
Okay, so the email to development team, is it the same one, the TDP one that we got the email about this appointment from?
Yes, that's the correct one.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
You too. Well, Nicholas. Mother Liso.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So my question is that I'm currently wrapping up my academic year and I'm busy with exams right now. My final exam happens to be on the 10th of December. So with regards to the submission date, when is the last possible submission date? And for me personally, can I just push it to at least Sunday the 12th? Because I think it'll be very difficult to navigate everything like right now with everything else happening.
So we do give extension on an individual basis. So please just write an email also to TDP and just ask for an extension. And then we'll see how many days. Usually we give a maximum of a week extension for this, but depending on your situation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Masisembe? Masifeme? While we wait for Masifeme.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, greetings to everyone. My question is based on the structure of doing the assignments. You have said that we can have introduction, body, and conclusion. Ne? But is it necessary to write introduction, body, and conclusion? And also, can we have our own subheadings on the structure of the assignment?
Yes, you can have your own subheadings, and you don't need to write introduction, body, and conclusion. You structure it just in an essay format, but you can have your own topics, subheadings if you require.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much.
Masifembe, I saw you unmuted now. Are you able to speak?
Yes, you have answered clearly my question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
We've got two here. Valencia?
Good evening. I just want a clarity on the duration of the appointments. And I heard you mention that we will be appointed per semester. So if the module that I'm tutoring, it's a year module, then what happens then?
I don't know, then you will be for the year, for the duration of the module.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. And next one is // let me see, Yetsa. Yetsa, you can go ahead. Bulani. Bulani, you can go. Yeah.
Evening.
Evening.
Yes, so I wanted to ask, based on the assessment, you said there are compulsories one, the basic assessment, and I didn't get the second one.
So you want to know what's the compulsory? So
yes, the second one.
So all the assignments are compulsory, and then the portfolio is compulsory. Okay. And then you also need to complete activity 2, the baseline assessment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We've got Ruth. Monamela. Okay, let's go to the next one, Sweetness. Carabello. I think his hands were up earlier. So let's go to Ndeka.
Greetings, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My question is that are we supposed to attach the baseline assessment survey before bootcamp or after we have answered the assessment?
So the baseline is to get your understanding before you even started the course. So you do that one first before you do any assignments.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me just see if Sweetness or Carabella. And then Roof, Bonamela. I think the hands are probably unable to mute. So that's all the hands we have. We're going on to 8 o'clock. So if there's no more questions, then I think we can end this session.
Thank you very much, Richard. So colleagues, just a reminder that the first hour from 6 to 7, we discuss the content, and from 7 to 8, we open it up for discussions as we did today with questions. So we use the second hour just to engage with each other. So colleagues, just remember quickly, just please, if you haven't registered on the MOOC site, please join the MOOC site and access the course content, familiarize yourself with Special Study Unit 1. And remember, on Thursday, we will open up the WhatsApp group between 6 to 7 p.m. for conversations. And then we will meet next week, Tuesday, on the same link that we met this week. So from my side and Richard, hope you all have a good evening and the rest of the week. And we will catch you all up in the following week. Take care, colleagues. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, everyone. Go well. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, thank you.